What's really good, y'all? What's really good? Y'all know it's Wednesday night. Y'all know it's 8:30 p.m. EST. And you know the one place to be is right here at the Eagles Elite Podcast. So, good show coming up for you this week. We've had the first depth chart put into place. We had the first 53-man roster. I don't believe this is the last one because it's supposedly to be filled. But we got the first roster. We got cuts. We got the practice squad. All that. So we're going to be going into detail with those things for you tonight. So before we get started, we'll bring in my co-host for the evening, the Eagles Diva herself. What up, Eagles Diva?
What's going on? We're getting closer and closer to that regular season game. We could
And we
win.
need that. Shout out to why he wasn't able to make it tonight. Some personal situations going on, but we got you, bro. And we'll see you next week. So first, we're going to get hype, and then we're going to get into this. Let's go.
The kick is away, and the kick is it's good! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. You just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
Can't speak for anybody else, but that's just that thing right there, right? They get you ready to go. So we got our first comment of the evening. Coach Dante, what's going on? Appreciate you watching, my guy. But we got to dig into it. I know normally we have several different topics and all the good stuff, but the show writes itself for the night, right? This is the week. This is the roster cuts. This is we getting into the season. We getting ready for the season. We know this time next week, we'll be previewing the first game of the season against those Cheatriots. We'll know we'll have our Patriot troll on here in a little bit. But after next week, we may not see that much of them because, you know, when you lose, they run away. That's what cheaters always do. But before next week, I want to get ahead of myself. We're going to dig into this thing. So, Diva, we had a lot of cuts from the team. A whole lot of cuts. Some of those guys came back to the practice squad. So is there any specific person on the practice squad that you're excited about?
That I'm excited that is on our
And
practice
let me go
squad?
through that list for. Yep, and let me go through the list for everyone. You know what? We'll do it this way. We'll just take it person by person. So the first person, wide receiver, Devin Allen. I know for me, I'm fine with him on the practice squad. My concern with him is actually catching the ball. Very fast individual, but a couple of seasons can't crack the 53. I think it's just going to be a problem until he can get those hands right. If he can get those hands right, I think he can be a sneaky secret guy, but you know, speed is nothing if you don't have the hands to go with it.
No, well, you see that with Quez Watkins. Prime example. I'm just saying.
Who isn't part of the practice squad, but I can't argue with that either. He does make more catches than Devin Allen, I will say that. And then the next practice squad player is wide receiver Britton Covey.
I'm glad he's on the practice squad this year. I'm glad he's not in the 53-man roster on the special teams. I am very happy about that.
Yeah, I feel like that was a waste of a roster spot last year that could have went to someone who was going to actually contribute more.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's nothing we can do about what's already happened, right? But I feel like we're getting it right this year with that. There are some things we're going to talk about with the current construction of the roster that I have questions about, but not yet. So next we have cornerback Mekhi Gardner.
I mean, he still got some learning curves, so I'm glad he is on the practice squad just in case we need a backup. But he got some learning curves. His footwork to me is not all the way there. And when you a CB, you got to have footwork, period.
Yeah, and I think this is a great place for him because this gives him the opportunity to learn and to develop to see if he can be something for us in the future. So we're able to protect and make sure he's on the roster. He's able to practice with us. He's able to learn the defense and all those good things. And I think that will work out great. So I definitely agree work needs to be done. And that's what the practice squad is for. Then we have offensive lineman Julian Good-Jones, another guy that I anticipated being released and being on the practice squad. That's on the practice squad. Another guy, depth purposes, if something happens and we need him, he would be able to hop in and make something happen. But other than that,
not a 53 man.
Yeah,
that you're gonna be on the make the cut. No, you gonna make the cut, buddy.
Yeah, these are guys that you want to say, okay, this is what we got right now. We feel comfortable with where you are. If you show us something, then maybe you can get elevated sometime later in the season if injury happens. So basically of what we cut or what we were able to get, because we weren't going to get waivers, right? Because the 31st waiver, the second to last waiver. So we were not going to get waivers. Waivers were put in by the Eagles. We didn't get anybody. So, best of what you were able to get. So we kept him, somebody on the practice squad we can attempt to develop. Another practice squad player that I'm kind of surprised that we got, but I'm okay that we did, is Teron Jackson, one of our defensive ends.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that we were able to get him on the practice squad. He's a guy that, of course, the main place for this practice squad, and what I think a lot of people don't recognize, is this is the place where you develop guys. You either have guys who are just fringe roster guys and you're developing them, or you have guys that you really just need to develop because you see something in them, but they're just not quite there yet. So I think Teron Jackson is a definite guy that should be there. Any thoughts on Teron Jackson from you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he can be developed. I just hope we don't, we like to hold a lot of people on our practice squad for some years, and they don't even ever get no position. And sometimes they do develop.
Well, there is one guy that we'll talk about that may be moving on if he has his way. That may open up a position for Mr. Jackson to play sometime later this season. And also linebacker Kyron Johnson. It's another person that never had a chance to really make the 53-man roster, but definitely I think is a wise person for us to hold on to at the linebacker position, a position that we definitely need help at still. But, he's a guy that not quite roster material, but definitely a guy that can be developed, can be on that practice squad. Right now we have 13 players on it. This is directly from the Eagle site itself. So these are the guys that's been signed so far. And then next there's Tristan McCollum, a safety. Safety we're pretty solid at, but you always want to have guys that you can elevate, you can work with in case there's injury, something happens with a trade market, someone needs to be moved to acquire another piece, that type of thing. So I don't have a problem with Tristan McCollum. He performed fairly well when he did play, in the preseason. These are a lot of guys that you saw a lot of in the preseason because that's how they were evaluated.
Yeah. But he just didn't make the cut.
Right.
I mean, it's hard when you got people like Sydney, and it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, safety was going to be hard to make if you weren't in that top four anyway. So that was definitely going to be a problem. Now, another guy I'm glad we kept. I'm kind of feel like he should have made the 53-man roster, and that's Joseph Nagata, wide receiver. So, I mean, it's going to be real. I'm most concerned about the wide receiver position on the Philadelphia Eagles right now.
Me too.
Wide receiver position and the backup quarterback. Those are two positions that I'm very concerned about right now. Nagata was a guy who played really well in the preseason, did everything you could to make the roster, but as you can see, they only kept 4 wide receivers. So, hopefully there's a move coming because we can't go into a season with 4 wide receivers.
We really can't. I mean, you don't ever know what could happen. We saw Brown get hurt. You know what I'm saying? Smitty was hurt, but he played. So, yeah. And then you got to depend on Quez Walker. No.
You got to tighten up that room, definitely. And then 5th tight end, Brady Russell, we kept on the practice squad. So we have 4 tight ends on the active roster. We'll talk about them here in a little bit. But Brady Russell, the 5th tight end. Don't have a problem with us keeping him. Again, injuries sometimes happen, but we've got enough guys that even if somebody gets hurt, we still have too many tight ends, personal opinion. But, you know, I feel like if we were going to keep 4 tight ends, we should have just kept Tyree Jackson. But the Eagles didn't feel the same way. All right, and then we have...
Hope that doesn't come back to bite us. You know what I'm saying?
Those kind of moves always come back to bite you.
Yeah.
But he's been hurt when he was with us, so, I mean, he wasn't really able to play. So that probably played a big part in it. I would feel like he street closed Jackson and they wanted to get a guy that was going to actually be available.
I understand that.
Yeah, we did sign punter Aaron Sipos, who we cut to the practice squad. I'm just going to be honest. Aaron Sipos is on the practice squad in case we can't find another punter. We don't want Aaron Sipos on this team. That's why we cut him.
Sippums could not, it would not go further than 20 yards, y'all. When he kicked the ball, we needed him to down that mug. And, Sippums was just not at Sippums.
And then offensive lineman Brett Toth. He's another guy that kind of what you said earlier. He's been around for a while. Yeah, he's kind of always on the fringe of the roster. He could be elevated if something happens. Versatility there with Brett Toth. So I don't have a problem with it, but I kind of feel like we need to get guys that we can actually elevate, because another important thing is we only have one guy at center. Backup center is the starting right guard. So something else to look at as well. And then Ben Van Summeren, another linebacker we have on the practice squad. We need to develop linebackers all the time. I wouldn't be mad if we go sign at least one more linebacker on the practice squad, because 2 positions that we need to make sure we have guys ready for is wide receiver and linebacker.
Linebacker, most definitely.
Yeah. So if we go get 2 more linebackers, I won't be mad. And then lastly, but not least, I know one of your favorites, a guy that never can make the active roster, but he always seems to run a team, 6th-year Greg Ward.
I'm tired. And I'm not even Greg Ward. I'm tired because I'm not understanding why my boy cannot make an active 53-man roster, and he's proven himself over and over and over. And then I'm mad that I don't even see Trey Sermon, and I'm still trying to figure out why that man never got a position. Why would you cut him, but you talk so highly about him? I think that's going to be a major mistake. And, I mean, the fact that he did score a few touchdowns in preseason, I hope he just goes somewhere and actually get a starting chance, because I think that's something we really going to miss out on, is not giving that man a starting position. It's just my opinion.
The problem with Greg Ward is we're a team that likes speed. He doesn't have the size or speed. He's Devontae Smith without the speed, or a smaller version of Devontae Smith without the speed. The problem is, in today's league, a guy like that can only work in certain packages. But if you look at what we have at wide receiver right now, I feel like he could at least have a role on the team. I feel like he's a guy that could at least be on the 53-man roster. I understand why he's not, but he definitely could be.
I mean, I understand you like speed, but my thing is Quez Watkins has speed, but he can't catch. So what is the point if you got speed, but you can't catch or hold on to the ball? I mean, Jason Avant didn't really have speed, but my man caught the ball. Point blank, period.
Yeah, I think people compare him to Jason Avant. I know I do at times, but he's not Jason Avant, right? I'll be real. I like Greg Ward a lot. Don't get me wrong, but he's definitely not Jason Avant. And the thing for me is, you want to have guys who give you a lot. You want to have guys that you feel comfortable saying, all right, we could throw this guy out there and he could do anything. I think the thing with Greg Ward is he understands how to play the position. He has a great mind for the position, but he doesn't necessarily have a great ability to turn that into actual play on the field. Greg Ward, to me, is the guy that has everything, right? You know how, I'll put it in terms that everybody will understand. So you know how you play sports in like high school, maybe college, middle school. You had that one kid, he understands everything, right? He's great at drills. You have individual drills where there's not like live action. But when you put him on the field in live action, it just doesn't work. To me, that's Greg Ward, right? And I like Greg Ward. But when I look at the team, I say Zach Pascal was better than him last year. That's why he got the nod over him. Unfortunately, maybe hands-wise, if you were giving him 2 routes to run, he's got better hands than a guy like Quez Watkins. But what he doesn't do is he doesn't take the top off the defense at all. The defense does not have to focus on him when he's on the field. So unless we're going to start playing 4 wide receiver sets where he can run those simple routes where you can get 5-7 yards, like the plays that other teams always ran on us because the idiot that we had last year always wanted to play soft zone.
Right.
He can make those type of plays, but he just really doesn't have the ability to get separation to make the other plays. And that's why I think he always ends up on the cusp of the roster. I want to make it, but I just being honest as watching it as a football fan, he just doesn't quite have enough. He's close, but he doesn't quite have enough. And I think you see, right? He gets cut. He could be signed by anybody. He's been around long enough where he didn't have to go through waivers. He could be signed immediately. No one came to get Greg Ward because they understand the same thing about Greg Ward. Great hands, but the other parts of the game, he just doesn't have. I mean, he's a guy that used to be a quarterback. So I know he has it here, but I just doesn't think it goes onto the field. And that's why he's always number 54, number 55, number 56, right? Always on the practice squad.
Right.
But maybe you give him a chance at some point. Maybe he gets a chance. He shows us something. But I do believe we're going to go out and grab some other players at the wide receiver position for sure, because that is much needed on this team. Much, 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 much needed.
Yeah, I hope we do.
Yeah, that has got to happen. That is no question about it. That's got to happen. All right. So, as I said earlier, we were not able to get any players from waivers just because too far back, just too far back, right? There's nothing we can do about it. Roster cuts, I mean, we could really talk about them all day. A lot of people are gone. Some people went to other teams, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the cuts that we had, that I'll at least name the guys here, just so people who may not have known can know about them. We cut linebacker Quentin Bell. Here's an interesting one. We cut running back Kennedy Brooks. Thought he had a chance to make the team, but I'm not too surprised that we cut him, if we're being honest.
Right.
We cut defensive tackle Robert Cooper. Definitely was a camp body. Wide receiver Jayden Hasselwood. I remember seeing him out there, and I remember saying, "There's no way this guy makes the team." I just was like, for real. Linebacker Tyreek Maddox Williams. 2 defensive tackles, Olive Sagapolo and Caleb Sanders. We cut both of those guys. We also cut wide receiver Freddie Swain. Another defensive tackle, Marvin Wilson. Roger Johnson was placed on injury reserve. We cut wide receiver Deion Kane, who was a guy that I was hoping could make the team, but obviously that didn't happen.
Didn't happen, yeah.
Yeah, we cut Cameron Tom, who was a third center. We cut Dennis Kelly, who we had brought back. We cut, of course, Brett Toth, we ended up signing to the practice squad. We cut Josh Andrews, another offensive lineman. We cut wide receiver Johnny King. We cut quarterback Ian Book, tight ends Tyree Jackson, and Dan Arnold. And, of course, there were some more cuts, one of which being Trey Sermon. So a couple more people, but, just some of the list of people that were cut. Now, an interesting move, Diva, maybe you can give me your thoughts on it, and I'll give my thoughts too. We signed suspended cornerback Isaiah Rodgers to a futures contract, a reserve contract for next season because he's suspended. What do you think about us signing Isaiah Rodgers, the cornerback from the Colts who got suspended for gambling?
I mean, I like Isaiah Rodgers. He was really good with Green Bay. Was it Green Bay or was it the Colts?
He came from the Colts.
Okay.
That's where he was at last year.
I like that signing. It's just that we gotta wait. How long was he suspended for? A year?
He's suspended for this season, yes.
Having to wait a whole year to see, and I hope he doesn't. Sometimes players tend to fall off when they haven't played in a year. But I mean, I think that he could be a good pickup for next year as long as he can, keep his football composure and still work out and do the things that he's supposed to. But yeah, I like that. I like that sign.
Well, the good thing is, I think he can do things at the facility. I'd have to double check. He just can't like travel with the team, but he can be in the facility, work out, do the other things to get himself in condition to be ready for next year. And of course, once the new year starts, he's reinstated, he can automatically get back to team activities and everything. I like the signing because I think it's foresight. Isaiah Rodgers is a guy 3 years in the league, worked his way into being a starting guy, contributed at cornerback and special teams. And I don't know if you guys have heard us ever talk, but one of the areas of large concern for us is special teams.
So is it the special teams or is it the special teams coach? Because I don't know why we didn't get rid of him. I really think it's him.
It's probably both. It's probably the guys he's picking too. So maybe this is a guy that comes in next year. We get rid of him and we get better players in place. So Coach Dante again with the what up.
What
and then
up,
the
Coach
big homie AC in the building.
What up, AC?
What up, AC?
You gotta come on the show again, AC.
That's what I'm saying. We got to get you back on the show. All right, Coach Dante with the fire emojis. Definitely appreciate that. And then we have someone who's watching us on Facebook to hit us with a couple of comments. They're from Roswell. Much love, blessings. Hey, Eagles fam, appreciate you watching. I'm going to have to find that link again and put it in the chat for you. What happens is you have to make sure that you've given StreamYard access to your Facebook. And if I remember correctly, it's StreamYard.com/Facebook. It may be Facebook.com/StreamYard. That's why I'm going to look it up and give you the right information. But that way we'll be able to see who you are so we can shout you out in the comments. We definitely appreciate you watching. But yeah, lot going on with the team. A whole lot going on with the team. Way more than I anticipated going on just from some of these aspects. Now, of course, we know, as well as Isaiah Rodgers, there's a lot of rumblings that Derek Barnett wants to be traded, and he's been allowed to seek a trade for himself. Go out and see if he can find him a trade partner because he wants more playing time.
Well,
so first, go ahead. I'm gonna let you start with this one. Go ahead, because when I get started, I ain't gonna leave much. So you go ahead.
Well, first of all, bro, you can't even stay healthy. So I'm just trying to figure out where you're gonna go. But I mean, he could never stay healthy, and if he stayed healthy, like bro, always had 1,000 penalties. Man, that's where most of our penalties came from. So I'm glad that he decided he wants to go. Now he wants to fight all the time. Like, bye. There's you're getting old anyway.
My thing with Derek Barnett is you want to leave because you want more playing time, right? That's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. You're on a team where you're rotating, so you're going to get a lot of time to play. Maybe you didn't watch while you were injured, and you just sat around and found people to fight and argue with online or whatever you do. But that rotation is why so many guys had sacks. That's why we had 70 sacks last year, because we had that rotation of freshness. So instead of you having to go out there and dog it out for most of the game, you were able to come in. You could go all in, balls to the wall for the time you were in, because you know you're going to play a set amount of plays. You're going to get a chance to get a breathe, get you some water, get you a little oxygen if you need, come back in and pound again. So that's not good enough for Derek Barnett. And here's the thing. You weren't even here last year, so you don't even know how it would work. But my thing is exactly as Eagles Diva said. Bruh, you make the most boneheaded plays. You have the worst penalties at the worst time. So you leaving this team, you were taking some talent with you, but you're also taking all of those penalties that we didn't have last year when we made a run to the Super Bowl. So a guy that's blowing games because he's making dumb plays was not there last year. And look where we got. So, yeah, will we miss your production? Absolutely. Will we miss your penalties? Nope. We will not miss one of them. So what I want you to understand, Derek Barnett, is be careful what you wish for. If you sit here asking to go to another team, you're going to get to another team and you're going to get exactly what you wish for, and they're going to get exactly what they ask for when they get you. And if it happens, I feel sorry. Oh no, I'm gonna pull the Mr. T out. I pity the fool.
I mean, I just hope he can stay healthy. You know what I'm saying? You should want to be on a team where there's freshness, so that way you're able to get yourself together. You've been playing for a long time, for a long time with the Eagles, and you stay hurt. So you need that time so you're not constantly out there pounding yourself to the ground. You needed that fresh breath of air. You talking about you want someone playing that? Bruh.
Hey, go get it. Whoever won him.
Come get him.
Indianapolis, y'all won. Let's talk about Jonathan Taylor. Y'all won him?
What up?
Make something happen. We'll throw in the pit. We'll throw you in a mid-round pit. What's up? But on the Jonathan Taylor watch front, because I'm still down with adding Jonathan Taylor at any point. He's on the PUP list, so he will not be able to play the first 4 weeks. So within that time, he still could be traded, or a trade could be put in place for him up until the trade deadline. So maybe that's a move that we make. Maybe it's a move that we don't. But he wasn't able to get anything done before the self-imposed deadline that the team gave him, which I didn't expect it to happen that fast. I expect this to be something that drags into the season. So, we'll see how that plays out, and we'll definitely be keeping a watch out, because if he ends up in Philadelphia, I will not be upset, even if it's just a 1-year rental, because we got goals to do what we didn't finish last year. So I say let's do it, and he can help out, point blank. He will be the best back in our room.
Is we better have 1,000 or over running yards this year. All the running backs we got. There's no reason why you should not be running that ball. Period.
I can't really argue with that. I can't argue with that logic either. Definitely can't argue with that.
And it shouldn't be Jalen running it either, unless he really got to.
Yeah, I don't mind him running some, but I don't want to see him run too much. Right? Like, I want his to be more, I see a hole and let's go, than what we've seen in the past, where he's the guy that's just kind of trying to make plays with his legs. Yeah. Yeah. I want him running if there's situations where he needs to run, but I don't want him running just because, I don't want plays designed for my guy to run the ball. That's what I do not want. Jalen Hurts does not need to be in that situation.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So, that being said, we are going to discuss the roster as it stands right now. Okay? So we're going to start at quarterback. So quarterback, we have, of course, the real MVP. No, I'm just playing. But
no, you're right. The real MVP.
Jalen Hurts is our number one quarterback. Behind him is going to be Marcus Mariota, which we got to stop here.
That's your boy.
I came on the show several times, and I said Marcus Mariota will be a good backup for Jalen Hurts. He could run the same style offense. He could make the same throws. What I want to say is I have never been more wrong in my life. This guy looks like ultimate trash. Not even trash juice. He looks like when you haven't dumped the trash can out in 3 or 4 months and it rained in the trash can because you left it open and you had an old bag of trash that you forgot to get out and it got wet and it's like stuck in the bottom and it's been just sitting there stinking in the middle of the summer. That's what he looks like playing quarterback. I don't know how in the world he's still on this roster. They must have some type of deep down love and affection for this man and want to give him another chance. And number two, how in God's green earth is this man our backup quarterback? So you mean to tell me if something happens to QB1, this is the guy that you're going to put in the game? Because if this is the guy that you're going to put in the game, that's going to be a game that's going to be very hard for us to win unless we're going to run the ball 50 times and play defense.
Listen,
we're not going to be able to throw the ball unless you're going to give it to a wide receiver or a running back to throw because this dude looks horrible.
I'm glad. See, we dodged the bullet the first time when Chip Kelly wanted him. Okay, we dodged that bullet, but we didn't dodge it this time. And that boy looks worse than Gardner Minshew. If we was going to do that, we should have just kept mustache. I'm just saying. Because to me, I understand McKee is young and new, but the way he was out there running the ball, throwing the ball, running around in the pocket, like, boy, is like if you really develop him, he is going to be a nice maybe starter one day, possibly. If not, he will be a good backup. But the way that Mariota has been playing, like, I don't know what he was out there looking at a few of the preseason games. And I'm like, why is he still out there? Like, oh, where's McKee? Like, I think he looked worse than Ian Book sometimes. Like, and Book was bad, y'all. Like, very bad. And I don't even remember Marcus Mariota playing that bad in Tennessee last year. Like, you got a whole squad out there. So you listen, I don't know. Maybe because we had between Ian Book and Mariota, and I would take Mariota over Ian Book.
I'd take you over Ian Book. I'd take me over Ian Book.
So I guess we just gotta get through. But he's not gonna be if number one get hurt unless we develop in McKee. I'd rather put McKee out there than to see Marcus Mariota out there.
I'd rather put one of the running backs and just take it old school and run the Wildcat. I think that would be more effective. But Wild Card Mar says, "What up, Wild Card Mar?
What up, Mar?"
He says, "Yeah, Mariota been looking real suspect, bro.
Real sus.
Worst move." Like I say, man, I was a Mariota fan until they started seeing him play. Once I saw him play, I was like, "Oh, my bad."
That's why we dodged the bullet earlier, the first time.
So yeah, I never wanted him as a starter. I thought he would be good as a backup. Boy, was I wrong. Like I say, I'll admit it. I was wrong 1,000%. This guy should not be in the NFL no more. I'm sorry, unless he's a third quarterback. This guy cannot throw. He cannot read defenses. He overthrew so many passes. Accuracy is terrible. He can run. He's basically a Wildcat quarterback anyway. That's basically what he is. He runs the ball really well. He don't do nothing throwing. It's pretty sad. So that's our backup quarterback as of now. So definitely some concern for me there because, like I said, he's not very good. He can prove me wrong, restore my faith in him, but right now,
I'd rather have Minshew out there. I'm sorry. At least I know Minshew can throw the ball a little bit.
Can we? Then Malik Willis get cut? Can we go get Malik Willis? I'd rather have him than Mariota.
Yeah, he got cut.
Something. But Mariota, we can't do this, y'all. Like, for real, we have Philadelphia. Howie, if you ever see this, somebody tags you in this, somebody cuts this and gives you this piece, Howie, please, go get a quality backup.
Please.
He's probably not ready. But Mariota, we cannot win games with Marcus Mariota, right? I'm in a lot of groups with a lot of NFL fans, and they've been riding on the Eagles like, yo, y'all nice, but if Hurts miss a game, who gonna play? And I'm like, DeAndre Swift, maybe? You know?
Bro, we ain't had a decent backup. We ain't, man, Foles, and he wasn't even a decent backup. He didn't get decent until he left and came back and left and came back and left and came back.
Yep, last time we had a good one was that Super Bowl year. Real talk. So, yeah, that's definitely a position I hope that we upgrade. So then the running back room, they playing. So they won't name a starter. If you go to the official page, to the official depth chart, they won't name a starter. It says Kenneth Gainwell, Rashad Penny, Boston Scott, and DeAndre Swift, all as a number one.
Bro, when you got that many running backs at that level of talent, it's going
somebody got to be the starter though. Like you got to decide. Like you got to draw a line in the sand. This is a starter, and you got to make the list. Stop playing Philly. We're a week away from the season. Let's go. Stop playing. You know what I'm saying? This time next week, we need to know who the starter is. Stop playing.
Yeah.
All right. So at wide receiver.
But hold on. Who do you think is going to be the starter for the running back?
It's got to be Swift. Swift is the most versatile.
That's what I think.
The most explosive. I mean, if you don't make Swift the starter, then you must be anticipating trying to make a move for Jonathan Taylor at some point because Swift is clearly the better of the running backs that we currently have. I like Gainwell as well. I like Penny. I like Boston Scott. I like all the guys, but to me, Swift is the guy you brought in last. You already had the other guys, and you say, we need more. So you're going to make the trade for DeAndre Swift. So we traded for him. Let's use him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's my whole thing on that. But y'all got to stop playing, and we got to make that happen. Come on. And then wide receiver on the right side, we have Devontae Smith. And Devontae actually has a backup.
What?
Yeah. But their backup's name is Olamide Zaccheaus. So for a fourth year in a row, the Philadelphia Eagles have let themselves be fooled by a guy who does it in the preseason. He brings it pregame, but when the lights are on and it's important, it's time to make plays, Quez Watkins is still going to be in the slot, dropping balls, fumbling, and not fighting for catches and not hot pointing the ball.
Or getting the ball taken away from him, like literally snapping out his hand.
That must be what we want. We don't want a guy that's going to high point the ball and fight for it. It must not be what we want because we keep putting a guy there that doesn't do that. So Philly, all I'm saying is Quez can prove us wrong, but honestly, I didn't see anything from the games, the time that he did play. I didn't see anything from the practices that I did see clips and things from that separated him from anybody else that got cut or from Zaccheaus. So my thing is, this is the guy that we want, or this is the guy we're going to have from the start of the season. I believe if he does what he did last year, Zaccheaus is going to take that job anyway, so I'm not going to sweat it too much.
I hope so.
All right. Yep. So we're going to go to tight end. So on the official site, we're only listing 3 tight ends. So this is what we're going to say. We know that there's a 4th guy that we picked up. I don't know why he's on the active roster, but we're not even going to talk about him because we're going by the official depth chart on PhiladelphiaEagles.com/team/depth-chart. So this is literally what you see there. You know what I'm saying? Not our lads or ESPN, but literally on the Philadelphia Eagles depth chart. So at tight end, we have Dallas Goedert, Jack Stahl, and Grant Calcaterra. Those are the 3 guys that we have. I think Calcaterra's abilities made Tyree Jackson expendable because Calcaterra hasn't been hurt in the pros. He had some issues with concussions. He had retired from football at one point. Then he came back and he hasn't had any issues since he's returned. So I'm fine with him being the guy. I'm good with that. I don't have a problem with it. But we do have a fourth guy that we picked up. But like I said, we're only going to talk about the guys who we see here on the official depth chart. But if you want the name of the other guy at tight end, just to have it, it's Albert Okwuegbunam from Denver. I can't say it. But yeah. He's got to be a guy that we brought in for blocking purposes. He was going to be cut by Denver, and then we brought him in.
Right.
So yeah. So we'll see how that works out. I would have rather just brought him in like on the practice squad, but I guess maybe we thought that somebody else would get him because that late ability to get waivers, right? 31st waiver. So we weren't going to get him through waivers. So maybe that's why we just went ahead and traded like a 6th-round pick and got him in a 7th-round pick back. All right. So then at right tackle, we know the starter. There's no question about it. It's Lane Johnson, right?
Of course. Yeah.
That's no surprise. Behind him is Jack Driscoll.
Okay.
And then Fred Johnson. Driscoll's a versatile guy.
Mm-hmm.
He can play both of the tackle positions, and that's good because if we go to left tackle real quick, Jordan Mailata's a starter. He doesn't have a backup. So that means if something happens and Mailata can't play, Jack Driscoll or Fred Johnson is going to have to move to the other tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest head scratcher for me for our long-term future is 2 things. So I love Landon Dickerson at left guard, and behind him, Sua Opeta. So good with that. Right guard, we drafted Tyler Steen, but we're going to start Cam Jurgens. Jason Kelce does not on the depth chart have a backup center. So instead of putting Steen in and having someone else be his backup and having Jurgens sit and learn behind Kelce, we're getting Jurgens out on the field by putting him at right guard, but he's the center of the future. So
why is he not behind Kelce?
Why is he not behind Kelce? Why don't we have Steen start there? You still got Lane Johnson. You're between Lane Johnson and Jason Kelce, right? So even if Steen takes a little bit of time to develop, and maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's a thought too. Jurgens will start until Steen is better than him. That could be the possibility. But I like Steen getting the reps more because that's the position we drafted him to play at right guard. But this is a decision that we made. And again, I don't like not having a guy that can play backup center. So are we saying if something happens, forbid, we don't want it to happen, but Kelce gets hurt, are we saying we're going to move Cam Jurgens to center and then slide Steen in? Like, what are we going to do? So that's something to watch for as well. And of course, our other wide receiver also does not have a backup, and it's A.J. Brown. So we got A.J. Brown on the left. We got Quez in the slot. We got Devontae on the right, and Zacchaeus is backup. So basically, Zacchaeus is everybody backup. Long story short, because
That
we don't
don't
have
make
the other wide receivers.
That doesn't make sense. I mean, because what if both of them? I mean, you never know what can happen. So what if Zacchaeus get hurt? What if AJ Brown get hurt? What you gonna do?
Worse than that, what if somebody need a break?
I mean, really?
You know what I'm saying? Like somebody get hit and they got to sit out for a few plays. You gonna take 3 guys and dog them into the ground? So I had a conversation with the Eagles fan earlier. It's like, oh, that's why we got 4 tight ends, because then we can run 2 tight end sets. So, but you still don't need 4 tight ends. We do not need more than 3 tight ends on the active roster.
Mm-mm.
We don't.
No, not tight ends. You don't.
Not tight ends.
No.
We've got 3 right tackles, no backup center, no backup left tackle. We got some work to do. Are we looking at a guy like Driscoll and saying maybe he's versatile enough that he can play, both sides, but we're just going to list him as right tackle? But just looking at the depth chart, there's some work to be done. We definitely got to get a couple more wide receivers. Maybe we take that 3rd quarterback and we make him that emergency guy. Open up a roster spot, wide receiver, makes things happen. All right, so we're going to slide over here to the defense, and that's where, got some things going over there too. Mar says, dang, who rather run Wildcat? Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. And then E-Money says Eagles 17-0. Hey, E-Money, I ain't mad at you, big homie. You know what I'm saying? I ain't mad at you. I am not mad. I got him 13-4, but I ain't mad at you.
Yeah, it's more like about 13-4. Yeah.
Yeah. But I ain't mad at you. Like, you know what I'm saying? All right, so defensive end. On one side, we got Brandon Graham. Right now, he has no backup.
What?
Yep. On the other defensive end, we have Josh Sweat, and Dummy Derrick is his backup.
But he wants to trade.
Yep. So here's where things get interesting at the defensive tackle spots, because there's been a little fluctuation throughout what I've seen. And I think what's going to happen, some of these guys are going to be the guys that are going to play defensive end as well. So they're going to play kind of both. But like I said, I'm just giving it to you how Philly has it on their official depth chart on their website. All right, so Fletcher Cox is your starter at 1 defensive tackle. That would be the right one, and left one, Jordan Davis. Behind Fletcher Cox, you have Milton Wilson, Kentavious Street, and Moro Ojomo. So a lot of depth there, and some of those guys could slide over and play end as well. For the other defensive tackle behind Jordan Davis, you've got I'm gonna call him the disruptor, Jalen Carter, and Marlon Tupelutu. Definitely like Jalen Carter. I think he's a guy that can play end or tackle. So I think he's a guy you can move around. I know Street, Ojomo, those are guys you may be able to play in some of those positions. But again, remember as well, this is still working. This is the first 53-man roster. It's not going to look like this when it's done. So, Diva, your thoughts on the ends and the tackles?
Well, I know Brandon Graham needs a backup for sure. So we need to figure that out. But the other positions I think are good. We got some good solid depth backup. Of course, we know Jalen Carter's a dog, so I ain't really worried about that. No pun
intended.
Yeah. But yeah, Brandon Graham, yeah, my boy need a backup. I mean, no harm. Brandon Graham is getting up there. You know what I'm saying? He did tear that Achilles, and you just never know what could happen. So yeah, hopefully the next 53-man roster, he got a backup. Period. I mean, because he still needs time to come out and rest. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I feel like we're gonna more just kind of rely on some of those guys being flexible. But like I say, I'm just going through everything, guys. I'm saying about 5 times, like they have it on the depth chart on the official website. So at Sam linebacker, this is kind of interesting. We have Hassan Reddick. Then behind him, we have Patrick Johnson and Nolan Smith. All right.
Patrick Johnson over Nolan?
They're tied. They're 2A and 2B. They're like together.
Gotcha.
So you have 1, 2, 3. It's like Hassan Reddick, then Patrick Smith and Nolan Smith are together as the backup. For N'Kobe Guinea at the Mike linebacker position, we don't have a backup, so we're going to need a guy that can play with him. At the wheel, which is the other linebacker, we have Zach Cunningham and Christian Ellis. They are tied as the guy there. So they haven't made a decision, but those are the two guys that they're choosing between. So any thoughts on the linebacker core?
Mine sound pretty solid. Sounds pretty solid.
Okay. I dig it. A little more depth, but
yeah, we do. Yeah, maybe they just playing with us. I think they just playing with us. Yeah, I think that's what they're doing.
I hope they're playing with us, or at least they're gonna move some of the pieces around once we get a little further along here. Maybe they didn't do that.
You ain't have a choice. You're really not if you try to go back to Super Bowl.
So it's safety. Terrell Edmonds. He's not showing a backup, but there are 4 safeties on the roster, so something could happen there. On the other safety position, we got Reed Blankenship as a starter.
Yes, sir.
And behind him, we have Sidney Brown and Justin Evans.
Yes, sir.
So that's the free safety. Edmonds is the strong safety. So if I go to our lads, they kind of break things up a little bit more. Our lads has Sidney Brown as the backup for Terrell Edmonds, and then Justin Evans is the backup for Reed Blankenship. But again, according to the Eagles website, it looks a little different. So that's why I'm giving you that information. All right, at cornerback, starters James Bradbury at left.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Yeah, right. Yeah, at right. Darius Slay at left.
Left, yeah.
Avonte Maddox at the nickel. All right. Behind James Bradbury, we have Josh Joby.
Hold on. Who's the backup for Avonte Maddox? Because my boy can't stay healthy.
So they don't have one listed here, but from all the reports, this is going to be Mario Goodrich, who is showing here as the second backup for Darius Slay. But from all the reports, he's the guy that's going to be playing the other nickel corner. So little concern here behind James Bradbury, because behind James Bradbury, we have Josh Joby. Josh Joby's okay. Literally, he's okay.
Yeah.
Behind Darius Slay, we have Keely Ringo. Development, he's going to be good. He just needs time. Of course, we talked about Mario Goodrich. And then the other corner that's on the roster is Eli Ricks. Eli Ricks, undrafted kid, decided I'm going to make this team, and he made it. So shout out to him as well. I love the fact that this kid put his hat on. Every time he got in, he had to work a hat on, strapped in, he was ready to go, and he made it happen.
That boy wanted that job. You hear me? That boy went out there and he played his tail off preseason. Like, I'm glad he made it for real.
Yep. And then when we look at punter, we don't have a punter, so we're going to have to get a punter.
Yep.
Sip-Off was not the answer, so I'm fine with him being on the practice squad. Probably go and get a real punter. Jake Elliott, of course, is our kicker. Lone snappers, Rick Lovato. Kick returners, Boston Scott. On the Eagles depth chart, we don't have a starter at punt returner, but the backup punt returner is Devontae Smith. Third string is Quez Watkins. So hopefully we use somebody else, because we don't want Devontae Smith back there catching the ball where they can unload on him.
No, my boy may not be back there.
Yeah, he don't need to be back
there.
Put Quez back if you want, but you can't put the
I don't care about Quez, but no, Smith can't go back there. I'm sorry. That's a do not enter zone for him.
And then at the other kickers, we have Kenneth Gainwell and Quez Watkins. I'm curious as to why they don't have Boston Scott as the punt returner or Kenneth Gainwell. Just curious as to why. Because you have enough depth at running back where, you can have a guy return those and then kind of sit down, catch his breath, and get right before you get back in the game.
Okay, I'd rather have Boston Scott back there.
So, yeah, this is the depth chart that's there. The Philadelphia Eagles do say on the site that this is the unofficial depth chart compiled by the Media Relations Department. Obviously, there are going to be some changes to this depth chart, some changes to who's playing where. But again, this is the one straight from the Philadelphia Eagles site. So I would like to go by that, especially right now. Some differences definitely on our lads. Our lads has Zacchaeus over Watkins. But like I said, we're not seeing that as of now. It may be because Zacchaeus has the ability to play multiple wide receiver trees because he actually knows the routes and can run all the routes and make the catches. And you may need that as the fourth right now until you actually go get some more receivers. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. A lot of the other things are pretty consistent. Brown doesn't have a backup on here either. So there's that similarity. But yeah, for the most part, I'm interested. But just to give you one more piece of info we didn't give you here, that's the reserves. So we got Isaiah Rodgers, he's suspended, he's on reserve. Charleston Rambo is on injured reserve, another receiver. Zach McPherson, of course, he got injured, he's on reserve. Roderick Johnson, injured reserve, and Sean Bradley injured as well, also on injured reserve. So a lot of guys, I think Rambo, McPherson would definitely have playing time if they were not injured. Mm-hmm. Obviously Rodgers is a guy that may step in next year and be a big piece of the team. To see how things go this season and what happens during the offseason. But that's a guy it's good to have. We talked about it before, but just want to close up here by saying that, hey, you want that type of guy. You want that type of guy. You want a guy that just got better and better every year that he's been in the league. Why would you not want that on your team? And just because you got to wait a year to get him, it's all good. They had to wait a year for Calvin Ridley. He's gonna come in and dominate for Jacksonville this year. He's not Devontae Adams or Devontae Smith or AJ Brown, but he's still a good player. Sam says hit that like button. Definitely hit that like, hit that share. All day, every day. And then AC says Eli Ricks will be a dude. Oh, he definitely will.
Definitely will.
He will be that dude. He just needs time, man, because he's hungry.
He real hungry. Yeah, they in a dog like that, right now.
Right. When you hungry like that, all you gotta do is be given the opportunity. He's got it right now, so all he's gotta do is go out there and get better every day and practice 1% better every day, like the Eagles like to say. 1% better every day.
And look at the vets he got to show him to help him get to where he need to be. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. He's got a solid full team of guys to help him. Mm-hmm. So, ladies and gentlemen, a couple more things before we leave. A couple things we got to go through, but want to say appreciate everybody that hopped in and watched. If you watch this later, make sure you share it. Make sure you like Shady Sports Network as well as the Eagles Elite page. Give us both a like, show us some love. All right, so a couple of things we're gonna go through here. So every week we like to give you a little bit of info about who Shady Sports Network is. I can tell you, but this will show you better.
This is and you're watching Shady Sports Network. Tune in, hit that like button.
You might wonder, what do these guys do? Player signing announcements. I never in a million years thought you would actually come on to break this news. So without further ado, go ahead and tell everybody what happened today.
Yeah, man. I just had to work out with the Cincinnati Bengals. Signing me right out.
Without further ado, I'd like to announce that, I'll be taking my talents to Salina Liberty.
This just in, the Major League of Football is reportedly collapsing, unable to pay hotel room bills, with players being kicked out of their rooms and hotel managers asking them to leave voluntarily without issue.
And just in case you were wondering if the Philadelphia Eagles are going to beat the New England Patriots next Sunday, I've got an answer for you. And if you have a problem with that,
and if you're not down with that, Philly's got 2 words for you.
and we could top it off with one simple other thing. So Diva Tell the people where they can find you at.
You can find me on Facebook at Sierra Cobb, or you can find me on Twitter at Sierra M Cobb 1, or you can find me on Instagram at Sierra Cobb.
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at Cool McCain, on IG at Cool_McCain. I'm on the show pretty much every day this week, right? Tonight, Eagles Elite. The rest of the week, you can catch me on playcallersportstalk.com/live for the different shows. All you got to do is sub and you can catch me there. And then, of course, next Saturday, NFC Beast returns. The Beast is back. Best division in football. If you got a problem with it, don't talk to me about it. Talk to somebody who cares. And as always, make sure you tell 2 of your friends and 4 of your enemies, because just cause they don't like you doesn't mean they like us. Exactly. And with that being said, fly Eagles fly.
Hashtag be elite.
And we're gonna catch y'all next week with that review, with that preview, as well as
first week
update of the roster. What we're gonna see actually going into a game. Because what we see on the site right now, I ain't too happy about that. But we're gonna wait till next week. We're gonna see what how we roll with this week, how they make some updates, change, get the depth chart torch right, and then we're gonna see what we got. But for us, but for Wyatt as well, who wasn't able to be on tonight, we'll see you next week.
Have a